They're pushing it to the absolute limits. Four-time champions Germany are on the brink of another early elimination from the World Cup. Welcome to our daily show where for the next 20 minutes we're going to review all the action in Qatar today. And joining me here in Paris is Karim Baldé. Karim, Germany clearly playing with the fans' heartbeats over there.
Yes, exactly. They came out of nowhere to be still in the contest for the round of 16.
Well, here are all the results from today's games. And as always, let's first head straight to Qatar, where our sports editor Simon Harding was watching the game. Simon, Germany draw 1-1 against Spain. Has this result, has it given it some of the answers that Hansi Flick needed about his squads?
I think it's certainly given him food for thought, especially in that striker position, because the goal scorer for Germany after Alvaro Morata, substitute for Spain, swept in the opening goal. The goal scorer and the equalising goal for the Germans was scored by Niklas Füllkrug of Werder Bremen, a player who was only playing in Germany's second division last season, but since Werder Bremen's promotion to the Bundesliga, he scored 10 goals already this campaign, and you saw what he brought to the party immediately, that focal point in attack, that out-and-out striker that Germany have been missing because they've been playing Thomas Müller in that position. But Thomas Müller, as we know, fantastic player, but ageing, not potentially got the physicality that someone like Füllkrug brings. So I think Hansi Flick will be thinking now, can I play Füllkrug and Müller, maybe drop one of the holding midfielders in Leon Goretzka, Ilkay Gundogan and Joshua Kimmich, none of whom had a good game, and have Müller play behind a Füllkrug-esque striker. Leroy Sané coming back into the fold is also a massive boost, and him and Serge Gnabry, who played together at Bayern Munich, should offer plenty of threat for this German side going forward in a must-win match against Costa Rica. Anything but a win for Germany is going to see them leave the competition for the second World Cup running, and the Germans will need their best players, their goal-scoring players on the pitch alongside a fantastic Jamal Musiala to try and get that victory and get as many goals as possible as well.
Karim, as Simon says there, Germany's future isn't within their hands, or within their feet, but they're going to have to win their next game, and of course hope that Japan isn't going to cause another perhaps upset as they did in their first game.
Yes, that's true. And regarding what Simon said about the Germany squad, I'm still a bit worried because after the first game, I saw that, they put Füllkrug, for instance. He came from Werder Bremen, which is a newly promoted team in the Germans' top tier, which is the Bundesliga. But I'm not quite sure that it's going to be enough. Maybe for the first round, for the group stage. But afterwards, what can we do with that team in Germany? Hansi Flick, he has 2 years. There is this World Cup, obviously, but also the next European Championships in 2 years' time at home in Germany. So he should find answers. But to come back on what's happening right now, they came, in my opinion, out of nowhere because Spain had the ball and they had many opportunities to close the game, to wrap up the game early on. But finally, they were strong, and we see that they have experienced players, Rüdiger, for example, and Goretzka and others, so they can rely on it for the moment.
For now, as you say, it's going further, should they? Well, what is going to happen? Because they had to play, they couldn't retain their lead in that first game. Now they're having to play catch-up. Simon, today, the 1-1 draw, from what you're saying there, it's not really a reflection from their performance from today, is it?
Not a reflection of their performance against Spain, but not a reflection of their performance against Japan. I mean, let's be honest, Germany should have been out of sight against Japan in the first half. There were plenty of good saves from the Japanese goalkeeper, poor finishing from the Germans, who were missing that centre-forward figure in that game. And today against Spain, Antonio Rüdiger had a goal ruled out for offside. It's so difficult to play the Spanish when they're in this kind of form, when they keep the ball away from you for minutes at a time and then hit you with a long crossover. I thought Dani Olmo had perhaps a little bit of a poor game because he could have scored earlier on. Manuel Neuer made a fantastic save to deny the RB Leipzig man. And in this match, they had chances. Jamal Musiala should have scored just before Füllkrug got the equalising goal for the Germans. So it is a question of finding the right formula. There is plenty of talent in this German side. Let's not forget, some of them are playing, a lot of them play for Bayern Munich, who are one of the best teams year in, year out, and the talent is there. There is, I agree with Karim, a little bit of a generational gap now. It's not the kind of the wealth and depth of squad that we saw in 2014 when Germany won the World Cup, when players, they were phenomenal players in every position and not just 1, 2 or 3. Here it is true that if the starting 11 for the Germans isn't fit, then you do wonder who's going to come in. But look at this. Niklas Füllkrug has come on. He scored a goal. I would put good money on him starting against Costa Rica and getting not one but more goals. And if Germany can start getting that machine going, well, you know what you say about German engineering. It's always very good.
It is down to that, isn't it? We've been saying it all along, because
Yeah.
it's about taking those opportunities. Spain taking their opportunities, perhaps not quite in the same way as against Costa Rica. Let's talk a little bit about Spain, because they didn't put down the same performance as they did in their opening game. But of course, this is Germany. It's not Costa Rica.
Yes.
What did you make of them tonight? And because they weren't one of the big favourites, were they? They were up there, but not up with the Argentina, with the Brazil, with perhaps France. But they're coming out pretty nicely.
Yeah, that was a good test for Spain, because what we saw against Costa Rica, it was like a general and an open training session, because Costa Rica couldn't even play, couldn't even move forward. But in that case, against a strong defense, we saw that they kept the ball all game long. They could create some chances as well. They were efficient at the beginning of the second half, and that's funny because we focus a lot on the new generation in Spain with Gavi, with Alejandro Baldé, and also because he has the same name as me, obviously, and other players, Pedri, obviously. But we saw that who scored the goal? Alvaro Morata, one of the oldest guy in the team. Who made the assist? That was Jordi Alba, one of the eldest guy in this team. So experience is still important for Spain, and they could unlock this game early in the second half. But then, they should have scored more when they could do it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And we'll see, and we see the table just behind me.
They've still got a massive goal difference, haven't they, of course?
Yeah, obviously, because of a 7-0 win against Costa Rica. And that's very important, because in case of a tiebreaker, they will have the advantage. Spain has the lead, obviously, with 4 points. But it's going to be a tight match day 3 with those two games, Germany versus Costa Rica and Spain versus Japan.
So strange to see Germany at the bottom of those
That's
standings.
true, yeah.
It looks,
Not
it
used
just
to
looks
it.
very, we're not used to it at all. Let's move over to another of one of today's big games. Morocco beat Belgium 2-0 with what was clearly a fully deserved win. The Red Devils lacking pace, lacking form. The Al Thumama Stadium going wild as the Atlas Lions scored 2 goals. Selina Sykes was at the game.
What an exploit for Morocco against the 2018 semi-finalists. So with 2 late goals for the Atlas Lions. The Atlas Lions staying well organised and happy to sit back in defence in the first half. The Belgians looked frustrated. They had far more possession in the first half, but failed to have any real concrete chances and failed to find their way through a very well organised Moroccan defence. A sea of Morocco fans provided an absolutely remarkable atmosphere at Al Thumama Stadium. They whistled every time the Belgians had the ball in the first half. The Belgians most looked dangerous through set pieces by Kevin De Bruyne, but failed to have anything concrete in the first half. It was a free kick from Morocco that provided the best chance. Hakim Ziyech and the whole stadium thought he had scored, but it was ruled out for offside. The game opened up in the second half. The Moroccans looking far more threatening, and it paid off. They got their first goal in the 73rd minute thanks to an error from Thibaut Courtois, the Real Madrid keeper, allowing Sabiri's in-swinging free kick to make it past him at the post, and the stadium erupted into wild celebrations. The Belgians threw on Romelu Lukaku in a bid to get a last-minute equaliser, but it was Morocco that extended their lead, with Aboukal being set up by Hakim Ziyech in the 92nd minute to put the Moroccans 2-0 ahead. The Moroccans defended well here this evening and took their chances when they had them, and Belgium paid the price here tonight.
Karim, Belgium scraping past Canada in their first game. Today, there's an upset that they wouldn't really see coming, but it was a well-deserved win for Morocco, considering their performance, but also considering the level that Belgium was playing at.
Yes, that's true. I slightly disagree with you, James, because we could see it coming for Belgium, to be honest, because they have an old generation right now, back from 2018, 2016, but they don't have the pace anymore. The defense is slow, and the new players, the newcomers in this team are not at a good level, at this World Cup for the moment. So I'm not quite surprised to see Morocco winning today, and that's their first win in a World Cup since 1986. Can you imagine that?
A long way
a
back.
long time ago. And that was result for Morocco because Walid Regragui...
Did they not have a win in the World Cup as well in '98? No. It was, but going back very, very far back for them to reach right until today, which is a huge statement.
That's why we saw this joy from the players, from every Moroccan supporters this afternoon. But to come back on Morocco and on the tactic, Walid Regragui, he came at his position lately in September, and he decided to put the accent on solidity, to be solid tactically and then to move forward. We saw it against Croatia, 0-0, but he was satisfied with the fact that they didn't concede any goal and the block was solid defense, especially with Romain Saïs and Naïf Aguiar, two experienced players right now. But we see that the more the game moved forward, the more the Moroccan player have confidence. And then he made the good substitutions as well. And we saw with Abou Khlal, who scored second goal. So all credits to Regragui and to Morocco.
But coming back to Belgium, because, he brings on Lukaku. We have De Bruyne on there, of course. But we're not, I don't find that we're seeing these players shine in the same way as they do with their clubs. De Bruyne, not really, we haven't seen the magic from him that we see him in the Premier League at Manchester City, not coming together, as we were kind of saying earlier on in the opening of the show, players not quite playing in the same way for their national teams as they do when they're in their leagues back home.
Exactly, and they have to adapt, and especially when there is no time to adapt between the domestic leagues and the World Cup, as we saw this year. And to focus on Kevin De Bruyne, the problem is not convinced about this team, and he said it to The Guardian, I think, like 2 days ago, saying that, we have no chance to win the World Cup. How can you have a mentality of winning if you say that kind of words in a newspaper 2 days before a game?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
It's not.
And he's right. He talked with his heart, but still, it shows that there is no certainty at all in this team. And Romelu Lukaku, he came in, but we know that he was injured and he's not in his best shape. So, I'm worried about Belgium from scratch.
Yeah.
And I still have some doubts.
It speaks really about the whole mentality, doesn't it? It speaks for the whole team, really. Morocco's win, placing them then second in Group F. Belgium's destiny not entirely within their hands either. They will need, though, to beat Croatia in their final game of the group stage. Croatia, who eliminated Canada from the competition today. Let's go back to Simon in Qatar. Simon, the runners-up from the last World Cup, they've woken up. They were goalless in their opener to the tournament. Morocco, but they're now beating Croatia beating Canada 4-1 today.
36 very nervy minutes for Croatia until Kramaric scored the equalising goal after Canada and Alphonso Davies had taken the lead. But certainly Croatia, a lot had been said before the game, that they were an ageing generation, much like Belgium, if truth be told. Modric, Brozovic, Perisic, they're all players that are coming more or less to the end of their careers at some point or another. But unlike Belgium, they do have that team cohesion, and I agree perfectly with what Karim and you have said in the studio, that this Belgium team is really struggling. When you look at Croatia, it's always a very solid block, very difficult to beat. Yes, Canada maybe caught them cold after just 2 minutes with that goal, but now you get the feeling that Croatia have got the machine going, shall we say. And, in this last game against Belgium, if Belgium win the game, then Croatia most probably head out. If Croatia win, then Belgium go out. So no matter what, you're going to have one of the big teams teams of Russia 2018 crashing out of the competition. And, just perhaps a word on Canada. I know you're going to touch upon them, and I wonder if you would agree with this. Canada have got such a good and young generation, and they played plenty of exciting, positive football. And with the World Cup next in the States, Canada and Mexico, they might be one of the teams to look out for in 4 years' time.
Absolutely, clearly preparing things for then. Karim, considering Canada's run, it's a bit harsh for them to be leaving so early.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm disappointed. I'm a Canucks fan because I lived in Toronto for a year, a while ago still. But yeah, I'm sad. But as Simon said, we can have confidence from that World Cup campaign. The thing that they went back to the World Cup, that Alphonso Davies scored the first World Cup goal ever for Canada after only 2 minutes. That's the
fastest goal of the tournament.
Yes,
so far,
exactly. So far, yeah. And so we have some good points on the Canadian side, but that wasn't enough because the first game they couldn't convert their opportunities. And today against Croatia, they finally they went down. They went down in the second half, and Croatia took advantage of it. But yeah, there are some quality players in Croatia as well. Kramer, for example, 2 goals, and he was so impressive when you see his goals. Well, he has all the technique to make some strong stuff in this World Cup.
Probably got some things in store. A tough one for them, but also for, of course, Japan today. They had that surprise win against Germany. The Samurais then beaten 1-0 by Costa Rica after Fuller netted a late goal. They've done the hardest part. Surely they'll be kicking themselves rather than the ball after that result from today.
Yeah, that's true. That wasn't an exciting game, to be honest. This morning we almost took a nap during this game, and especially during the first half, there was no shot on target. But Japan was better in the second half. Too many mistakes, in my opinion. And they said prior to the game that they should forgot what happened against Germany, this joy and all of that. But finally, we saw that they couldn't move forward in that game. And Costa Rica, they came out of nowhere because 7-0 defeat against Spain, and then to come back and to be mentally strong. And we saw Keylor Navas as well, the Costa Rican goalkeeper, back again as in the good old days when Costa Rica went to the quarterfinals in the World Cup in 2014. So it's going to be exciting, this group, because we don't know what to think about each team. Let's see at match day 3.
Plenty, match day 3 is just around the corner. The second round of the group games then wrapping up tomorrow with Group G's Cameroon and Serbia, both looking for their first win, while Brazil take on Switzerland. South Korea, who drew against Uruguay, they'll now play the Black Stars of Ghana. Uruguay, who then take on Portugal. We can't, of course, end without a little word on Brazil because they'll be without Neymar. But it does look like they will. They don't have to just count on him, of course, for goals, as we saw in the last round. So perhaps a big game coming up for them.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Exactly. A good game for them, and they can clear the qualification for the round of 16 tomorrow, such as France, because we see that it's not easy to go out of this group stage. We saw with Germany, we saw it with Argentina, and Brazil can have some rest days for their greatest players if they win tomorrow.
Yes, well, things getting more than serious now. Karim, thanks always for coming on. Thank you for joining us here on France 24. Join us again tomorrow, same place, same time, to review and preview all the action in Qatar. Let's leave you just with some images from some celebrations from inside the French squad in their changing rooms after they became the first team, of course, to qualify for the round of 16. Got to wonder what it will look like if they do reach the final. Bye-bye for now.